Hello everyone, thank you for asking me to talk to you today about the Bible. My name's Reverend Roscoe, although some people call me David. And instead of being able to come into school to talk to you about the Bible as I would normally do, I'm going to talk from my study here in the vicarage. Now, the first thing to say about the Bible is that it shows us that God loves us by telling us about Jesus. Okay, that's everything you need to know really about the Bible. It shows us that God loves us by telling us about Jesus. But after that, the Bible comes in lots and lots of different sizes and shapes, and lots of Bibles look very differently. So this one, you can see how big this is, and you can take it from me that this is very heavy. You can see if I clunk it together like this, it'll make a big noise. This is used in church to read stories out in front of lots of people. And right at the other extreme, you can find small pocket editions of the Bible, which would just fit in your pocket. But most Bibles on people's shelves would look something a bit like this, something quite handy. The print isn't too small, and it contains all the different parts of the Bible. So that's the next thing to realise about the Bible. It's not just one book. It's made up of lots of different parts. And the two main parts are the Old Testament and the New Testament. And here's a list of all the parts of the Old Testament, and here's a part of all the list of the New Testament. And the Old Testament, which, if you look at a Bible, is all of that, tells us about the time before Jesus. It tells us about the country called Israel, where Jesus was born eventually, and this tells us about the time before Jesus was born. And this next part, the New Testament, tells us about the time of Jesus, his sayings, his teachings, the stories about him, and what happened after Jesus with his followers who eventually started what we call the church. So it's the Old Testament before Jesus, the New Testament, the time of Jesus, and immediately after. And the Bible itself, but you can see, and you'll have realised by now, that it wasn't actually written just by one person. It's made up of lots and lots of different books. There's a list of all the books of the Old Testament, and there's a list of books of the New Testament. And there are 39 books of the Old Testament, and there are 27 books of the New Testament. So 39 plus 27 equals how many books? 39 plus 27. You can see the hands going up now. Yeah, of course, is 66. You got it. I knew that you would. So here's some of the books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Daniel, Ezekiel, and the first four books of the New Testament are called Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they are the bits that tell us the stories of Jesus. And the other parts of the New Testament are the letters of people who followed Jesus. And the first of the letters is someone called Paul, the letters of Paul to all the different churches. And then there's lots of other people, Timothy, Peter, John, Jude, and right up to the last book of the Bible called Revelation. So it wasn't just written by one person, it was written by lots of people, and it was actually written over literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Some people think over 1,000 years that it took for all of those books to be written. And more than that, each one of those books was probably written by more than one person. The letters were written by one person, but say one of the books called Isaiah, people think were written by at least 3 different people. Now, before we explore the Bible any further, think about what your favourite kind of book is, what we call genre. What is your favourite genre of book? Could be adventure, could be comedy, could be animals, could be information. In my case, it's history. But whatever it is, all of those books are found, all of those genres of books are found in the Bible. So, for example, here's some of my books. I've got books of biography, in this case, which is telling biography, tells the life of someone. So this is telling the life of great scientists, important famous scientists. This one is a history book. It's a history of the English-speaking people. So this is by someone very famous called Winston Churchill, who was in Fel's part of history. As this is a history book written by someone who was in history. This is an information book somewhere about where we went on holiday this year. It tells us all about the places, the best places to visit, and some of the best places to eat as well, which is important. So this is an information book. And along the lines of eating, this is a cookery book. This is the latest recipe book. Ooh, that looks good, doesn't it? That I've bought. And this tells us about how to make lovely, delicious... Ooh, I better close that. I'm getting hungry. How to make lots of delicious food. All of those kinds of books, plus lots of other genres, are found in the Bible. But we can look at the Bible in one sense as a history book because it tells us about the life and times of the people who lived when those books were being written. So it tells us a lot about the life and times of Jesus, not just about Jesus, but about how people lived in his time. So, for example, there's one story in the Bible which tells of how there were so many people around a small house where Jesus was teaching that people went, and there was one man who couldn't walk, who was being carried there on a stretcher. And he had to, he wanted to really to see Jesus and wanted to hear Jesus, but he couldn't get anywhere near because of all these people around this small house. So if you can imagine something like that, so there'd be a small house, the door, and there'd just be one or two rooms inside with a flat roof. So what the people did, I'll not draw all the people around, is the friends of the man, on the outside of the house was a staircase like that going up. So they brought the man in the stretcher up to the top, and they made a hole in the roof, and they lowered him down into the room so that he could hear Jesus talk and Jesus teach. And the story tells us that because of his faith in wanting to see Jesus, he was cured. Now, that's a story about Jesus, but it also tells us something about how people lived at the time, that they lived in small houses with just one or two rooms, with a flat roof, with a staircase on the outside. And that confirms evidence that other people have found. So in that sense, the Bible tells us about the history of the life and times of the people who wrote all of those books. Now, I said lots of the books are named after different... have different names, and some of them are named after particular people. So here is a list of the books of what we call the prophets. So these weren't written by these people. These were people who taught about God, and people wrote down their sayings after them. So Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Oh, I think I deserve a round of applause for saying all of that. And that's my favourite name of all of the books in the Bible, Habakkuk. You say that. Habakkuk. Habakkuk. What a wonderful name to be called. I don't know anyone called Habakkuk, but you might do. Now, lots of these books have different purposes. So, we've mentioned the Gospels already. They tell stories of Jesus and have lists of, and quote Jesus' sayings. These are letters which were written, what we call epistles, which were written by the followers of Jesus. These books here are history books in the Old Testament. It tells the time before Jesus, so Chronicles, Kings, Numbers, Exodus. All of those books tell us about history. So there's lots of different kinds of book in the Bible, as well as there being lots of different names of books. There's lots of different kinds of books. The first book in the Bible, there we are, is called Genesis. Genesis, and that just means the beginning. the start of something. We still use that word in English today. If we say the genesis of something, it means the beginning of something. And the last book in the Bible is called the Revelation. Revelation is the last book in the Bible. So the first book's Genesis, the last book is Revelation. Now, there's one more thing I want to say about the Bible. And if you'd like me to, I can do another video and tell you lots of other things as well. But there's one more thing to say about the Bible, and that this is a book that is printed in English so we can understand it. If you lived in France, you'd find it printed in French. If you lived in Germany, you'd find it printed in German, and so on through all the different countries. And there are literally hundreds and hundreds of languages that the Bible is printed in, so that people can understand it in their own language. But you might think, if you just think carefully, you might think, well, if there's so many different languages, what's the original? What's the original language that the Bible was written in? Because it wasn't written in English. It wasn't written in French. It wasn't written in German. In fact, it wasn't written actually in a language that anyone speaks now. The whole of the New Testament was written in a form of Greek, but it's not the kind of Greek that people who live today in Greece speak, although some of the letters are the same. This is the, you see that? That's the language that the New Testament was written in, and it's Greek. Even the letters are not the same. So the Bible that we have is called a translation. And translation means, literally, you take one language and you write that out in your own language. So this is something that I had to learn when I was training to be a vicar, and this is the Greek of the time of Jesus, so we call it New Testament Greek. And I will just try and brush off, I'll try and brush up rather on my Greek and try and remember all the lessons I was taught. So this is, it says, O Israel thanaton zetiete. O Israel thanaton zetiete. And that translates an angel calls a man. That's the language it was written in. So the language that we have in the Bible is translated. And that means that even though the Bible's written in English, there are lots of different versions of the Bible in English. So when you read a Bible, it might not be exactly the same English words that you read if you pick up another Bible. So for example, the first part of the New Testament here says, a table of the descent of Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. But if I take this Bible and have a look, that will probably, and I haven't even tried this before, that will probably be slightly different. So let's see if it is. So that one said, a table of the descent of Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. And this one says, a record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. So you see, it's slightly different. All the different translations are slightly different. Well, I've really enjoyed talking about the Bible with you today. And to be honest, I could actually talk all day about it. I'm so interested in it. So I'm not going to talk anymore at the moment. But what I am going to do is give you a little quiz. And I'm going to give you a 5-question quiz based on what I have been speaking about in the last few minutes. So there's 5 questions. So you might want to pause the video in a moment and get a paper and pencil or pen, whatever it is you write with, and answer these 5 questions. And as a reward, I'm going to send these Kit Kat biscuits in for Mr. Carter to choose the best 5 answers. The best 5 answers. So I'll look forward to finding out who's won my Kit Kat Bible quiz. Okay, so you'll need a paper and something to write with. And here are the 5 questions. I'm not going to give you the answers because you might want to research these yourselves if you don't get the answers first time. Okay, so question number 1. How many books in total are in the Bible? How many books in total are in the Bible? That's question 1. Question 2, what is the first book of the Bible called? What is the first book of the Bible called? Question 3. This is really interesting. This is my favourite question, actually. Can you give me an example of any genre of book in the Bible? Can you give me an example of any genre of book in the Bible? Question 4. Which part of the Bible tells us about Jesus and his followers? Which part of the Bible tells us about Jesus and his followers? And question 5. Name any one book in the Bible. And it doesn't matter if it's not spelt right. Okay. Any one book in the Bible that I've mentioned and you can remember. And the best answer, as chosen by Mr. Carter, whose decision is final, I may add, wins these Kit Kats, which I will make sure are in school later today after you've watched this video. Okay, so I hope whoever wins it enjoys these Kit Kats. And I hope you've enjoyed my talk about the books of the Bible. I've really enjoyed doing it. If there's anything else you want to know I can help you with, please let Mr. Carter know, and I'd be only too glad to do another video. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and I also hope you enjoy all being back at school together. Okay, thank you for watching.